Yeah, so water savings, because in my line of work, we look at older properties to evaluate whether or not we should buy it. And when we do, we always consider doing a water savings program. And so when you take it on this property that's like a 70s or 80s product, a lot of times the fixtures itself is not very efficient, not a low flow rate kind of fixtures. So we would hire a third party vendor to kind of give us a quote on how much of a savings will we get if we start to go through and replace all the existing fixtures into the new low flow fixtures. And so they would give us a quote, and then we would evaluate whether or not the cost to actually go through all these units would make sense in terms of cost savings. So sometimes it depends on like the business model of a company. If the business model is that you're going to take this property and turn it in 3 years, maybe putting in all that money to save money on just maybe 1 year of saving water doesn't make sense. But if you're holding on to the property for 3+ years, or maybe like 5 to 10 years, it makes a lot of sense to even implement these type of program, because the savings can be quite significant, because a lot of the older properties, their fixtures itself is pretty inefficient. So that's one of the things that we always consider whenever we look at properties.
And so some of the most obvious places for those savings are going to be like the shower,
Yeah.
the toilets, any other places that you're...
Yeah, so shower heads are pretty quick, pretty straightforward. So shower heads, and then the sinks, right? And then the toilets, you literally just replacing the toilet. Those are the 3 main ones.
Nice. Other thoughts from the panel on kind of water savings?
I think, understanding your water consumption, it can be challenging in those environments. So, one of the things we'll do with our organization, we have not sub-metering for water, but even just monitoring your water meter in real time, being able to see, because you have times a day when people are getting ready, all that, that's going to be the peak. But, if you see sort of a steady rate throughout the day, you want to be able to identify. I actually own a condo, and our water company isolated down to the building for us, which units had some sort of ongoing leakage. So, obviously reducing what's being used when it's being used, but that unintentional usage, being able to identify those issues is a ongoing cost that you may not even know, sort of phantom load.
Now, we're certainly seeing some more regulation in the energy side, which you're going to talk about in just a moment. Are any of you seeing in any geographies where there's regulatory or kind of penalties for just overusing water? I mean, if you're passing the cost down to your residents and you're able to meter the water for each of them, it's kind of a non-issue, maybe. But is that becoming a possibility where the property owner is on the hook if you're using too much water? We see issues in like Southern California where they're really kind of clamping down and saying we need to be more focused on water conservation. Any experiences or stories from any of you? Anyone jumping in?
I don't, but that's not my area of expertise.
I don't have any specific, but I think, the water is very difficult to get at a unit level. So there's always going to be some assumption of what that cost should be. And if it's not in line with that, it's important to pinpoint what the issue is, where it's coming from. And just because you have a baseline, you may not realize, if you're not monitoring it actively enough, if that really is what the usage should be for the units. So being able to monitor and compare that to other properties similar size, it's like, why do we use this many more gallons here for the same number of units? You want to be able to understand, are there things going on? And it's always a subset of them, but could be a running toilet, and still flushes, the tenant's not going to complain about it.
Right. It's not leaking anywhere.
Yeah, there's no water on the floor. So.
Make some nice white noise for us.
Yeah.